You know how you grab a handful of nuts thinking, yep, this is a healthy choice? Well, what if I told you that for anyone over 60, that very snack could be either quietly protecting your health or actually doing some real damage?
And you really have to ask yourself this, because as we get older, our bodies just don't process foods the same way. A nut that was totally fine for you a decade ago might now be a hidden risk. So, which is which? Let's dive in.
And we're not talking about a small difference here. On one side, you've got nuts that can literally fuel inflammation and send your blood pressure climbing. But on the other, you've got nuts that are packed with compounds that go to work protecting your heart and your brain. So let's start with the ones you might want to watch out for.
All right, let's get right into it. These are the nuts you might want to reconsider. A lot of them seem completely harmless, but, the science and the real-life stories from other seniors, they tell a very different story.
First up on our list is the salted cashew. I mean, they're everywhere, right? Smooth, golden, a staple in every snack bowl. They look so innocent, but the way they're usually prepared creates this trio of problems, especially for older adults.
So here's where things get tricky, especially after 60. First, that high-heat roasting process creates these things called oxidized fats. All you need to know is they can fuel inflammation and make your joint pain even worse. Then, of course, you've got all that sodium, which can spike your blood pressure, a huge risk as we get older. And on top of that, they have oxalates, which can lead to painful kidney stones. Just think about Mr. Harold, a 72-year-old guy whose daily cashew snack led directly to swollen ankles and a rising blood pressure. It just goes to show you, it's not always the nut itself, but what we do to it that causes the trouble.
Okay, next up we have a real wolf in sheep's clothing, the macadamia nut. We see it as this luxury treat, right? But once you coat it in sugar or chocolate, it goes from a simple indulgence to a serious health trap.
This is a classic case of what I call a health-washed snack. Take Mrs. Eleanor, for example. She thought her sugar-coated macadamias were way better than grabbing a cookie, but the combo of sugar and syrups plus the inflammatory seed oils they roast them in, it's a perfect storm. This mix sends your blood sugar through the roof, which isn't just a risk for diabetes, it's also linked to faster cognitive decline. For Mrs. Eleanor, the result was a sharp climb in her A1C, a key marker for blood sugar. Her healthy treat was actually putting her health in jeopardy.
Okay, get ready, because this next one, it's a bit of a curveball. Brazil nuts. They're all natural, people praise them for their nutrients, but here, the danger isn't in the processing, it's in the concentration. This is a classic case of too much of a good thing.
Here's the deal. Brazil nuts are absolutely packed with selenium, which is a mineral we need. But they are so concentrated that just 2 or 3 nuts can push you over the safe daily limit. Any more than that, and you're risking selenium toxicity. And this is a really big deal after 60, because our kidneys, they just don't filter out excess minerals the way they used to. That makes seniors way more vulnerable. A 74-year-old named Mr. Lawrence found this out the hard way. The Brazil nuts in his daily snack mix led to such high selenium levels that he started having trembling hands and hair loss, symptoms he might have just brushed off as getting older.
And finally, we have to talk about an American classic, processed peanuts and peanut butter. I mean, they're a staple in almost every pantry, but their familiarity can hide a whole set of risks that are especially potent for seniors. It's like a triple threat, really. First, some peanuts can have this thing called aflatoxin. It's a byproduct from mold that's really tough on your liver. Second, a lot of the big commercial brands use processed seed oils that can raise your bad cholesterol. And third, they're often loaded with added sugars that mess with your blood sugar. For 70-year-old Mrs. Helen, her nightly peanut butter snack, which she thought was a healthy protein boost, ended up causing fatigue and elevated liver markers, all from those hidden ingredients.
Okay, enough with the bad news, right? Let's flip the script. It is time to talk about the good guys, the protective heroes, the nuts that actively support your health and strengthen the very systems that get a little more vulnerable as we age.
And kicking things off for the good guys is the walnut. It even looks like a tiny little brain, which is so fitting because it is one of the most powerful brain protective foods you can possibly eat.
So what's the secret sauce in walnuts? Well, 2 things. They are the richest plant source of ALA omega-3s, which are fantastic for cooling off inflammation in the brain. They're also loaded with something called polyphenols. These are natural compounds that help your blood vessels relax and improve circulation. The end result? A lower risk of heart disease, and it can even help with arthritis flare-ups. For 69-year-old Mr. Raymond, adding walnuts to his diet meant he felt mentally sharper and had less joint pain. What a simple, powerful daily habit.
All right, next up, almonds. If walnuts are for your brain, think of almonds as your body's foundation. They provide the stable, reliable fuel, which is absolutely crucial as our body's energy regulation starts to change over time. And the beautiful thing about almonds is how everything works together. You get vitamin E, which is an antioxidant linked to sharper memory. Then the healthy fats and fiber work as a team to stabilize both your blood sugar and your cholesterol. And they're high in magnesium, which is great for bone strength and can even help with muscle cramps. Mrs. Patricia's story is the perfect example. At 66, she just swapped her morning pastry for a handful of almonds, and boom, her energy and blood sugar finally leveled out. No more mid-morning crash.
Okay, let's talk about pecans. And no, not just in pie. Raw pecans are actually one of the most powerful defenders against the aging process you can find in the entire nut aisle.
So, what's their superpower? Antioxidants. And among the nuts we eat all the time, pecans are basically the champions. They rank number 1. Think of antioxidants as your body's personal security team, fighting off cellular damage, slowing that process down, and strengthening your immunity. Plus, their healthy fats help lower that bad LDL cholesterol and ease artery stiffness. For 71-year-old Mr. Curtis, swapping his daily cookie for pecans meant real, tangible benefits, more energy, and less pain in his knee. And last, but definitely not least on our list of heroes, we have pistachios. These little green nuts are a complete nutritional powerhouse, and they offer some really unique benefits for your vision, circulation, and energy.
Now, this is something you don't hear about every day. Their focus on eye health. Pistachios have lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 antioxidants that specifically go to work protecting your eyes and can even reduce the risk of age-related macular degeneration. They also help improve blood vessel function, which just means better circulation for your whole body. For 73-year-old Mrs. Diane, making the switch to pistachios meant she had fewer dizzy spells and better focus. It's a perfect example of how these nuts support your entire system.
So as you can see, not all nuts are created equal, especially when you're over 60. The big takeaway here isn't to stop eating nuts altogether. It's about making smart, intentional choices. And the power to make that choice, well, it's truly in your hands. Let's just boil it down to a single choice you might face, right? On one hand, you have a snack like salted cashews, with the high sodium and oxidized fats that can really strain your heart. But on the other hand, you have walnuts, packed with omega-3s that protect your brain and support that very same heart. It's such a simple swap, but it's one that compounds over time and makes a huge difference in your health. There's a quote that just nails this whole idea. It says, "The seniors who thrive are not the ones who make perfect choices every time, but the ones who understand that even small shifts can create powerful change." This isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about understanding that these small, consistent choices, like choosing one nut over another, are the building blocks of a stronger, more vibrant life.
So, after everything we've talked about, from the hidden dangers to the protective heroes, I'm just going to leave you with this one question. What simple choice will you make today to start building a healthier tomorrow?